question. And I think one of the biggest findings from this study, this was really sort of like our lead when we promoted this, was, I love this stat, 85% of CIOs, so the vast majority, agree that their role is evolving into that of a change maker. I love that word, but what does that mean in practical terms for how the CIO role is evolving? Like, how does today's CIO spend her time versus the CIO of 5 or 10 years ago?
Well, I speak to a lot of CIOs about this. This is such a hot topic for everybody right now. They have taken on such a greater leadership role. And that really started to pivot pre-COVID and post-COVID dramatically. So, COVID, as we know, pushed so many companies into being more digital. And so the CIO had to build processes to handle business digitally. As some CIOs say to me, we are a tech company first. We are not a publishing, like us, we're not a publishing company, we're a tech company first. We're not a credit card company, we're a tech company first. So that was the first kind of big pivot for them. And then, when you talk on the retail side, one CIO said to me, Lee, the day we hit lockdown, our online ordering increased by 2,400% a day. And we had to figure out how to handle that. So you had CIOs scrambling to work with vendors, trying to figure out which vendors they should work with. How are they going to manage legacy systems? How are they going to look at moving their data into the cloud? Was it a private cloud versus a public cloud? There were all those things coming up. And if you were with a global company, I was speaking to a CIO from Coca-Cola when I was in the UK, then you had to look at your data sovereignty. So a lot of shift in their role as a leader, a lot of shift in their role as being a business strategist.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, I think that's very much in line with what the survey finds. And oh gosh, I remember the push to digital was almost overnight at the start of the pandemic. So now so much of the core business strategy, not just how we're supporting business strategy with tech, but the strategy at its core is really residing with the CIO and her team. Is that sort of what that stat means?
Yeah, I mean, totally. That's very reflective of what I've been hearing. And, interestingly enough, I just interviewed a CIO here in Canada, and I think what's evolved now post-COVID is the CIOs are really looking to maximize and use their partnership with their vendors. So if you're a vendor out there listening in, and you probably know this, they're looking to you to find out how they can maximize what you do, how they can learn from you. What learning systems do you have in place for their teams? Those kinds of things. I think just wanted to share, what Parm Sandhu had to say about it on his insights on how he's working strategically with his vendors. I know when we were at the roundtable, we were talking a lot about how do you have a positive vendor relationship? When I was in a previous role, they used to talk about being partners, right? And, so we've got this idea of the vendor as the partner or the vendor working together with the teams. Then we've got the whole upskilling of teams and, understanding how to upskill your teams and also work collaboratively with the vendor to implement products and services. So could you talk a little bit about your approach to that?
Yeah, I think building trusted relationship with vendors upon us is absolutely a mandatory requirement. Based on my experience, as an IT organization or IT team, we simply cannot keep up with the evolution and development and the pace of change in technology. And what I've done, Lee, is over the last couple of years, really looked at my vendors and looked at who is relevant, who's participating, and who's really going to help me get to the next level. And I've gone on this journey to really consolidate the number of vendors and then build a relationship with trusted vendors so that they can help us. And part of the approach is opening up my strategy, my vision, and my aspirations. The more they understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and where we're going to get to, the better equipped they are to help us on that journey. And through that level of interaction engagement, I tend to, reach out to my trusted vendors and have these conversations.
Such an important message, I think, for technology marketers, especially to be invested in the vision of their clients and in their strategy, and not just necessarily be trying to hit a sales quota, but really to be a value add and even inform strategy, like he's saying, which is hard stuff as a marketer, I know, because it takes very intentional work, a very personalized approach, and a deep understanding But I just think it's got to be so rewarding, the payoff when you actually say that you've helped shape something with your clients. So that's great.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm hearing that from a lot of the vendors too, is that they really are saying we're here now to be very different than we were before, not just a purchase service, but a service that, basically we help develop those strategies and create that safety for the CIO working in their role so that they can actually free up some time to lead. And I think Parm mentioned that as well.